Welcome to the No Bull Political Arena. With your hosts, Sophia Nelson, Bill O'Reilly, Brian Mistro, and TJ McCormick. It's real voices, raw politics, and no bullshit. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Political Arena. This is Brian Mistro. I'm here with Bill O'Reilly, TJ McCormick, and we've got Michael Faulkner on tonight. Thanks for joining us, Michael. So I set up quite a few things to talk about tonight, but as of about 10 or 15 minutes ago, I think it was, that I saw the reporting that Donald Trump has postponed, what did he call that? Destroying a whole civilization. And I've got the post up right here so folks can see it. Apparently he's postponed that for 2 weeks to allow for ongoing negotiations. Providing
they open the strait.
All predicated on opening the strait completely, 100% opening the strait.
Right. Yes. And so, and I'll put right here. We can put up to everybody so you can see what he wrote in his tweet. This is, diplomacy by tweet as usual with him. Let me start if I can, because I do want to talk about that, and I'm going to go straight to you, Bill, if it's okay.
Sure.
But there was also today, before this broke, was reporting from the New York Times with Maggie Haberman, and I think Maggie Haberman pretty well, don't you, Bill? And
I've known her for 30 plus years. I haven't seen her in a few years, but yeah, we kind of came up together. She was at the Post, so we worked a lot together. Michael knows Maggie also, and I think TJ probably too.
Excellent. Yeah.
So damn good reporter. Yeah, really good reporter.
So you trust her reporting and so forth. So
not always. I've had issues with Maggie over time, and a couple of things, and we fire back at each other. But I thought her reporting today was excellent.
So you have read it.
I'm really not pleased with the tenor of most of the U.S. media on the Iran stuff. But I think as a TikTok story, it was very interesting. I'm not sure who leaked the details of that, but it was leaked at obviously a pretty high level. But I thought it was good reporting. It was fascinating reporting. I just worry about anything suggesting that we're just doing this for Israel, because it feeds into the anti-Israel and anti-Jewish ethos out there, and I'm really concerned about those kind of assignments. So I don't love the story from that perspective, but I thought it was good reporting, as Maggie is one to do. She's a good reporter.
Yeah, and so
as her dad was. Her dad was a columnist in New York.
I didn't realize her dad was too.
Also, Clyde Haberman, just a long time New York reporter. A little bit on the left, but a class act, and one of the best in the country without question.
So I want to piggyback on that, and I want to share some details of her reporting. If you haven't read it, it's in the New York Times. I would highly recommend reading the entire article, because there's a lot of stuff that we're just not going to go into, because it's really some in-depth reporting. But I am going to focus in on a couple of things, and that is that in the days, weeks, months upcoming towards the war, or the United States going to war with Israel, and this would be with Donald Trump agreeing to do it, that one of the highlights, or at the very end of it, that seemed to push him towards this, was a meeting with Netanyahu in a sit room, where he sat down, and Netanyahu, with the head of Mossad, sat down and said, there's 4 goals that we can accomplish by doing this, quote, immediately. And the 4 goals were Iran's missile program being destroyed within a couple of weeks, having most of it destroyed. Number 2, that they would be so weak that they would not be able to close the Strait of Hormuz. Number 3, that street protests would begin, and a rebellion would begin with our bombing once we took out their leadership.
Which the Israelis thought more than the Americans.
Yeah. And then number 4, that the Iraqi Kurds would invade from the north and also pull off a lot of their resources to be able to, perpetuate their regime.
So, Brian, I'm just so sorry. Can I just add one thing, because you went to me first, and it was a point I wanted to make. The point of the story that I got was that the Israelis identified an opportunity, an historical opportunity, and the Americans saw it. That Iran has been a belligerent for decades, And with Syria out of the game, with Hezbollah knocked back, with Hamas knocked back, Hamas backed, it was a very opportune window to take this, and that's what I see as the premise of that story, or the premise of the attack. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think that's a good point, because this is, I do want to come back and we can all talk about it. Was what we've done worth it? Okay. And
Mhm.
what is the goal going forward? Obviously the 4 points that our intelligence put out was that we could kill the Ayatollah. That was very achievable. That we could cripple their capacity to project power. Um, but they said that basically that regime change was not going to happen, and that it was farcical to believe so.
Right.
Um, so where I want to go with this is, we are now in a position that they have been attacked. The first two points have been accomplished, military points. Um, so my question is, was it worth it, and what do we do now? Um, and I'm a little bit biased about it. I'd like to start with you, Bill, again, because you know her and you know the area, and I don't know if you're a subject matter expert on it, but it's something you can certainly talk to very clearly. Um, was it worth it if we didn't lock down their nuclear stockpiles and we don't get rid of the regime?
The nuclear stockpiles, I think, are a critical part of this, and I think that if the regime doesn't go down, which I don't suspect it will, at this point, I think it's been significantly degraded, and I think it will have to be regularly degraded by either Israel and or the United States going forward if they maintain their hostile posture.
Hmm.
I mean, when you see what they just did with their neighbors, you give that country a nuclear weapon, you
Yeah.
can't touch it. Then you can never invade it. You can never do it. We're stuck with it, like North Korea. And I think not just for Iran, but for other countries around the world, as technology advances so quickly. And Joe Carvin will probably talk about some of this stuff on his show. With AI coming down, nuclear technology is going to be available to a lot of people.
Hmm.
And we've got to have to come up with some world system that's better than this. But in this case, I think it's necessary. It's ugly. I hate his rhetoric. I don't like the way he talks about it. I would rather have Congress on board, the American people on board, all those things. But yes, I think it's worth it.
You think what we've done so far is worth it?
Absolutely.
I'll jump to you and you, Michael, because I know that we've talked about this a little bit. What do you think, TJ? Was it worth it if the regime stays in place and they keep their nuclear material?
Well, I mean, what's the definition of the regime? The regime as constituted 2 months ago is a hell of a lot more regime-ish than this one. They're kind of limping along. I'll equate it to my bad meniscus. TJ, are you a runner? Yeah, about 2 months ago, I was a hell of a lot more of a runner. But now that my knee has been acting up and my meniscus is flaring, uh, um, uh, then yeah, TJ as a runner, I'm a bit more of a trotter at this point. And I wouldn't be so fearful on a straightaway or fearsome on a straightaway. So look, yes, it's worth it because it's action, and this is 47 years of kicking the can down the road. God, somebody slapped me for using that cliche, but that's exactly what every single American regime has done for the last 47 years. And this is what happens. And so, yeah, because, I'll ask you, Brian, what's the alternative? Is the alternative to allow Iran to just keep operating? Is the alternative to allow Iran to just keep developing and regrouping? And I don't think so. So I think, is it worth it versus what is the alternative? I'll take yes, this was worth it because the alternative is not acceptable to me.
Yeah, and so I want to answer that because I haven't given you yet my viewpoint. But Michael, what do you think? And I'll circle back around to this.
I agree with TJ and Bill. It was definitely worth it. It was by time. It was our time on our watch where it had to happen. Was the way we did it, was it good for America? Not exactly. However, like TJ just said, for 47 years, we have put up with this nonsense, this crazy regime. Now, in terms of a regime change, it is impossible to change the regime in a nation like Iran. Why? Because there's layer after layer after layer after layer. So it's like peeling back an onion. You keep peeling it back, and what do you get? Onion. It's onion, 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 onion.
Yeah.
So the regime change was just out of the question. However, I do think we did set a tone that said, "Hey, we're not putting up with this anymore. This is we're not going to kick the can down the beach." Now, where do we go from here? I think God only knows, but I am so relieved. And Brian, I know you said you read this, you saw this going, but honest to goodness, I've never heard a United States president use such vitriol and such rhetoric and such rhetorical jargon to describe what he was going to do to. I honestly, it just didn't make any sense to me. It was vile, it was ugly, and I am so glad that he didn't, go through with it. But honestly, I am fearful that someone who could say those things has the nuclear codes.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Our nuclear codes.
is the rhetoric going to open the strait, do you think?
I think it will.
Yeah.
I think it has to. I think it absolutely has to. I think it absolutely has to, because it in 2 weeks, if it doesn't, we're going to be evoking the 25th Amendment or something. Something's got to happen. So he may have paused on this one, but eventually he's got to follow through with that. But I do think the markets and everything else will suggest that this will open. I think in the next 4 or 5 days, in my opinion,
Yep.
the straits will be open.
Yeah. So I'll give my answer, and it's probably not going to come as a surprise to the three of you, because I've been pretty consistent about this from the beginning.
Yeah.
My issue isn't doing this. My issue is doing it and doing it right and seeing it all the way through. And the process and manner in which he's done this, once again, and going all the way on our own with just Israel, instead of bringing in other allies and building a coalition, is something I've always consistently had an issue with him doing. He's the one that yanked us out of the agreement in Trump 1.0 to begin with. What I would have liked to have seen was him doing this with a coalition of other nations besides just Israel, like our NATO allies. And so I'm going to sound even more hawkish. I think that doing this without a very real and plausible way of overthrowing this regime, which would likely mean boots on the ground. Okay. I think that we're just kicking the can down the road right now, because the people that he's put that's going to be in power is reportedly even worse than the Ayatollah. I think it's his son that's in power now. And they have every impetus, for the reasons that you just said, Bill. They've got every impetus to get a nuclear weapon now as quickly as they possibly can, for the very same reasons.
And
So
let's
I'm actually a
forget,
little bit more hawkish on it than you guys are, but
yeah,
for
yeah, no,
different reasons.
I appreciate that standpoint completely, Brian. And I think for the I mean, we'll see what they agree to. I mean,
Yeah,
Pakistan is. I assume that we asked Pakistan to jump in there and float something, but we had offered to provide for free for eternity free nuclear material for their peaceful energy programs,
right.
and they rejected that out of hand. Maybe they take that this time. That's a pretty good deal for any country.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
they get they get free nuclear material forever if they don't pursue a bomb.
So if you don't know, then it was Kushner
Exactly.
and I forget the other
Witkoff,
person. Yeah,
Witkoff, Witkoff.
yeah.
Yep.
And so what they offered, if you don't know this, audience, is they offered to provide them a low level of enriched uranium perpetually if they give us all of their highly enriched uranium, which they said no. Which goes back to the reason that we're all talking about. The last thing we want is for them to have a nuclear weapon. I will note a little bit of a comedy, though, and I'll put this up here for everybody to see. Um, so the Prime Minister of Pakistan, as you'll see here, posted up on X what was obviously written. Well, let me read this to you, and then you tell me who wrote this. Diplomatic efforts for peaceful settlement of the ongoing war in Middle East are progressing steadily, strongly, and powerfully, with the potential to lead to substantial results in the near future, blah, blah, blah. Well, Who do you think wrote that? Who do we know
James
that sounds
Carville.
like that?
James Carville. James Carville.
James Carville. Well, it turns out that the prime minister forgot to take out the draft. This is your draft of what you're supposed to write and post on X. So he
Oh
put that
no.
on there too, and then had to pull it back down. Everybody can see it here, but that was
Beautiful.
written by the White House, folks.
Perfect.
So
Of course it was. They sent it
yeah.
over. They said, "Look, hey, do me a favor. Yeah, put down. Yeah, put down whatever you're doing. Here
Such
you
We
go.
clown
get a peek
work.
behind the curtain. It's a peek behind the curtain, but some comms person has his head rolling right now.
I'm just glad it's not me, right?
Oh Lord, what a shit show. Okay, it's do we want to move on from this, or does anybody want to have
Actually,
another
Go
comment?
ahead, Billy.
I was just going to ask, and I'm I'm varying this a little bit, but Michael was just in Africa and in 3 countries in Africa. What was and we'd love to hear more about the trip itself, but I'm
Yeah, tell us a little bit
curious
about that, Michael.
what the take was on America, like, and Iran and what's going on. Like, what did you hear on the ground there?
Well, interestingly enough, not much, take on Iran and what was going on there.
Yeah,
But I was in Liberia, and so Liberia in very much is very much Americanized. I mean,
yeah,
it's very much an American. I don't want to say an American colony because they're an independent nation, but they're
creation. Yeah,
very very Americanized. You can use U.S. currency there,
Huh.
et cetera, et cetera. What I noticed was honestly the men that there were so many black men, strong
Mm.
black men. I just hadn't seen, and I grew up in Washington, D.C. I just hadn't seen that. And so it was just like a stark reminder of some of the things that we've done as experienced in this country that have diminished that portion of our population.
so
And then
Michael, when
I
you say
also
strong, you mean strong in
I mean,
not in the physical
family,
sense,
right, 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 right. Yeah,
Like
yeah, no,
Malcolm
no,
X
not
saw.
physical stature. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Families,
running the
family,
countries, running
running,
their
running. Yep,
exactly.
yep, 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 yep. Exactly.
Yep.
And it wasn't a male-dominated kind of situation. As much as it was just, I just had not seen that many, that concentration of men. And then, they're in desperate need of some educational resources, to help their country, to shore up. But to the flavor of kind of what was going on, we were appreciated. There were in our missionary group, there were 3 black men that went, and they never see black missionaries. They've
Mm.
never
Mm.
seen, there's several people said we've never seen black missionaries. We don't know what it's like for black people to come to this country, for African Americans to come to Africa to do missionary work and that kind of thing.
Amazing.
So that was but it was a great trip. I enjoyed it and I did not have a sense that people were saying, "Oh, you're an American. Who do you think you are? Why are you here trying to tell us what to do?" None of that existed. It was we were treated with a great deal of honor and respect and genuine appreciation for being there and doing what we're doing.
And were you
So
around Europeans also, Michael, or Asians, or anyone else? Like, did you feel a sense of hostility from any other nations?
No. And when we were in the airport, I heard a couple comments in Belgian.
Yeah,
mm,
Just
get off my
traveling.
waffle. Yeah, no, no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just it's traveling as Americans, but not overly. It wasn't. I've heard a lot worse. I mean, in the first time I went to
Gotcha.
Africa 30 years ago, I heard a whole lot worse.
Huh.
Especially as you put down your passports in the airports and so forth. But I didn't get any. I didn't see
Good,
anything.
good. I'm
Didn't,
thrilled to
didn't
hear that.
sense
hey,
anything. Yeah.
so is that mostly a Christian nation, Michael? Is it mostly Muslim or?
It's mostly Christian, but we were in one of the counties that we were in was 80% Muslim.
Mm.
And we were doing Christian missions work and evangelism and everything, and there was no real pushback. It was just
Mm.
like it wasn't no real hostility because that community has existed in that way. So we were there for a religious purpose. So we didn't have any doctors or any other kind of humanitarian purpose. We were there pretty much as religious leaders to train religious leaders and how to
Mm.
do evangelism and so forth.
So
And
did
so
did you feel safe while you were there? Did you feel safe the whole time?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I absolutely did. Except driving in Monrovia was a little nutty, because you have, oh my God. So it was like, and I had the unfortunate thing of riding in the front seat because my legs were long. And just with the scooters and the little zip cabs and everybody in and out and get out of the way. And but honestly, it was a great experience. Did not feel in any way any hostility at all as Americans. Didn't feel unsafe.
Then again, you
You
did play
can't
for the
drink
New
in the
York
park.
Jets, Michael.
There is
You're
that
on the
little piece
line.
of it. You're not exactly a 4'8" guy walking around, right?
Right, right. But
I'm kidding. Yeah,
it was a great experience. It was a great experience.
fantastic.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
could
I've
go with
always
you
wanted to go to
next time.
Monrovia.
I could
Yeah.
go with Michael next time as his ventriloquist dummy.
Hey, I want to do something. I know we've only got a few minutes here, but I'd like to chat just a little bit about where we're at in the race in the U.S. Senate. And I think that, of course, nobody knows everything can change tomorrow, right? But what I'd like to share, if I can, is just a little bit of the where the super PAC for the Republican Senate is where they're spending the majority of their money, and then we can talk about that and kind of take a deep dive in it here.
It's a new one, isn't it? Isn't it a new super PAC that just?
Yeah, it's the Senate Republican Super PAC. I don't remember what the name of it was though, but I did pull it up and everybody can see it here. Here's the actual numbers. I don't know that we've got to go through every single one of them, but there's a couple I want to highlight. The number one spend for Republicans is Ohio. Okay, so that is a little shocking to me. It's $79 million in Ohio. And here's another one, as you can see here, that's actually kind of shocking. $15 million for Alaska. Not mentioned, by the way, not mentioned in any of this is Texas. So why do you spend that much money? They've drafted anything else that's really close, with the exception of North Carolina. And folks, I've been saying for months that North Carolina's gone. They're not gonna win North Carolina. They haven't been within 10 points in a single poll. So but how do you spend that much money in Ohio unless you're worried about Ohio? What do you think, Bill? You've done this stuff forever.
You don't. You don't spend that money if you're not worried about it. You're absolutely right. Same with Alaska. They're shoring up their cannot lose seats.
Yeah, I think you're right. But
yeah,
yeah, but even
I
in
mean,
polls
Congress is. I'd be shocked if it's not gone. It's anything could happen, life could change, the economy could go, blah 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 blah. But Congress looks really bad,
No, the House
and the
is.
Senate's the
House is
fight.
gone.
And so yeah, they're throwing their money into the seats that should be safe, but they're not.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But does it surprise you or not surprise you, maybe TJ, that they're not putting any money in Texas? Because we've talked a lot about that Texas race. Paxton is still winning in the polls on that primary, so it's going to be Paxton, Tallarico, and you're not going to put any money in Texas?
Tallarico has proven himself to be out of his mind. Tallarico, this might be one of the. I mean, good Lord, he beat an insane embarrassment in Crockett, but in the process, the safe candidate, the one who they thought is the odds-on better favorite to beat the Republican in Texas, has some of the most ridiculous far left, everything from trans to just all these other, and they happen to be like socially conservative, like spiritual, religious kind of stuff. Texas can probably, honestly, they put $50 into beating Tallarico. That's all it'll take. He's a joke. He is an absolute complete joke. He's out of his mind.
Well, so that I don't agree with you. I actually think he's got a real good shot at it, but it would seem
based on what? Based on what?
Well, hold on. The polling, first of all. So the polling that has come out. But if the Republicans were worried about this, they'd be dumping money into Texas, or maybe they're setting on it, Bill and Michael. I don't know. Maybe they're setting on it to wait to see, does Paxton actually win? Because it's they don't know who the winner's going to be out of this
What
ship.
polling are you seeing that the Republicans?
Oh, I can show you multiple polls that have come out that have shown him beating Paxton, not Cornyn. Not
from
Cornyn.
who?
Tallarico.
No, I'm saying, but from what organization? From
Oh,
who's polling?
It's multiple different pollings. We can look at it. I'll pull them up again, try to get some recent pollings, but it's not. It's going to be a lot closer than what people think it's going to be. So, yeah, what do you think, Michael?
I think it's hard for any Republican to get any traction in an election year like this. First is
Yeah.
midterms, we understand it, but second of all, the president has been saying the craziest things we have ever heard a United States president say.
True.
And
Speaking of
so,
crazy,
so, 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 so saying you're a Republican or saying you're running, the first thing you have to say is, well, I'm not like him, or I disagree with him. So the first thing
Not in Texas.
right, not in Texas.
It's
Not
still
in
in
Texas.
Texas, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So it's just hard. It's going to be hard. It's hard for the party to kind of figure out where it's going and what it's going to do. So I don't think the midterms can get here soon enough for me.
Yeah.
No,
it's
and
like
Michael's right. And
I am.
there's another. Sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. Yeah, no, I'm just waiting to say, hey, whew, now that we've got that over, but here's my fear. Do we have Democratic leadership that can lead us in the right direction?
Oh,
Or
hell
are they
no.
just going to be retaliatory? Are they just going to be, oh, okay, reprisals. Here we go. Now we're bringing back the impeachment again. It's like, oh no, please don't,
Please.
Oh man,
don't do this
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
It's like it's so crazy to spend 2 years doing nothing, and then we've got a general election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also something to your point, Brian, and to yours, Michael, which you brought it up about the difficulty of being a Republican right now. There is something else factoring in, and it hasn't fully realized itself yet, is the split in MAGA.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know in
And
Texas
over the
whether you're
war.
going to get the voters coming out. You
Yeah.
have Alex Jones out there calling for Trump's impeachment.
Right.
Like, I don't, he's out there, he's calling like Tucker's out there. That group
Caden
they're really
Sowens,
split,
Nick
and they see,
Fuentes, yeah.
they see Trump is on his way out. He's a lame duck technically, and
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie
Yep.
Taylor Greene. They're all jumping on that, and in Texas, they could peel off 10-12% there, just not show up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's and I have read multiple times. This is anecdotal, but I spend a good fair amount of my time on X, and there's been accounts that have long been supporting Trump and been MAGA and voted for him that they are pissed about the Iran war. I mean, they
Real pissed.
are lit.
Huge.
So,
Yeah.
Big.
so it's
That's how I know I'm on the right side.
yeah, exactly. So,
Anything
that's
Alex
true.
Jones and Tucker Carlson is for, I'm against.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Hey, so there's going to be a lot of great stuff we're going to dive into. Appreciate everybody joining us this evening. It's let's see where the Iran war goes. We'll find out hopefully what the details are of the agreement, and I guess we're going to find out whether or not Iran will uphold their side of it. And the other little wild card is whether or not Israel will. So we'll
Good
see what
point.
happens there.
That's a hell of a point.
So
I'm so sorry. I just don't know because it broke just before the show.
Yeah.
Is Israel part of the ceasefire deal?
it
Or is
was
just
not
the US?
mentioned. Their name was not mentioned in anything that I wrote, but it literally was like
Yeah, I
what,
didn't see,
15
yeah.
minutes before we started recording this. So I haven't
Yeah,
seen
you
it.
would
Trump
think
did
they
not
would
mention them.
lay off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if they're not in on it, what's
It's going
the
to come
point?
apart. It's going to
Yeah,
come
I mean,
apart.
what's
Yeah.
the point? So
The Pakistan guy left it out of his draft. He didn't turn the
he
page.
erased that part. Right.
He didn't turn the page. Oh, not as a
What a
page
screw
two.
up.
Page two.
Thanks
Janine.
everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks TJ, Michael, Bill. It's always great to be back on. And everybody make sure that you press the like button. Everybody make sure that you subscribe. Go to YouTube. It's at No Bull Media Group. At No Bull Media Group. Please press the subscribe button. Thank you again, everybody, for being a part of this. We'll be back at you very soon. Thanks.
Good night, all.
The No Bull Political Arena is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us and your host a follow.
Hey everybody, this is Sophia Nelson. Follow me at I am Sophia Nelson on every one of my social media platforms.
I'm Bill O'Reilly, and you can reach me at Twitter at WFBOR.
Hey, this is TJ. Follow me on X or Twitter at TJ McCormack.
This is Brian Mistro, and you can follow me on X at Brian_Mistro or follow along on Facebook at Brian.Mistro.
a Noble Media Group member.